class today. I am going to let a whole bunch of people get in before we get started. I hope everybody's having a fantastic Monday morning. We're off to a great start this summer. Actually, the Olympics are happening.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could say how many people are watching the Olympics. I spent the weekend watching the Olympics.
Lots of soccer on my end.
Lots of soccer. Okay, good. Somebody raised their hand. Yay. All right. So as everybody's coming in, my name is Joy McDonnell, and I am with Cricut. And today we're going to take your first exploration into design space with Kesley Anderson, our teacher. She is going to walk you through how to get started in design space and how to start to understand what the software looks like that's behind the Cricut machines, that runs the machines and makes all the beautiful things come out of the machines. So Kesley, thank you so much for teaching today. We're super excited to have you. Welcome to class.
Thank you so much, Joy. I'll take it from here. You're so kind. I have been enjoying the Olympics. I'm looking forward to being able to watch a little bit more over the next 2 weeks. So it's definitely fun. So an overview of design space. This class is, we structure it so that we do some talking, and I use slides to show you design space. And then we move into the Design Space Live, where you can follow along with me. If you want to open Design Space and work with me and create with me, I welcome that. There is a Q&A. So if you have a question about the presentation, you want clarification on something, or you've got a burning question, please feel free to type it in. I have Joy and Lindsay who will feed those questions to me, and we'll go from there. So why don't we go ahead, and I'll start with my presentation and we'll just share away. So let me share my screen. And here we go. So let's see from the beginning. Okay, here we go. Oops, I went too fast. Okay, so just introduce you to the family of Cricut devices. Cricut Joy is the smallest machine. It has a cutting width of 4.5 inches. It is so compact that you can put it in a cubby hole. It's great if you have to adjust your crafting space a lot. So it packs up nice and compact. It's great for travel. And it does a whole bunch of different things. You have 50 different materials that you can cut with the Cricut Joy. It does have the single blade holder, but you can switch that out with pens and the cutting blade. So Cricut Joy is a great starting point. And then the next one to introduce you to is our Explore Air. It cuts over 100 different materials and works at an 11.5 inch width. And then you go to the Maker machine, which works on 300 plus types of materials. And it works with, I think, 8 different blades. It might be 12 different blades now. But lots of different blades, that it's more of the pro level crafter DIY machine. So that's the family. And if you want to learn more about either machine or the one you have, you can check out learn.cricut.com and the Michaels website. Now, no matter which machine you're working with and whichever device you're working with, be it a desktop, a laptop, a tablet device, or a mobile phone device, they all work with our software called Design Space. And Design Space is where you do the creation and then you send it to the machine. Now, each format of the Design Space is a little bit different based on the platform you're working on, but they all work with a Cricut ID. So when you get your machine and you want to get your machine set up, the first thing you need to do is sign up for a Cricut ID, and it works like an Apple, like your Apple ID or your Google ID. It works across all the different platforms, and it works with all the different devices. So if you have multiple devices, you only need one Cricut ID. If you're working on a laptop, sometimes your desktop, other times a tablet device, you only need one Cricut ID. And the way that the Cricut ID works, let me just kind of tell you, Cricut, no matter what type of platform you're working with, it's cloud-based. So whenever you're designing in Design Space and you save your design, it saves it up to the cloud and you access it by using your Cricut ID. So all of your designs that you save are saved up in the cloud. Now, along with your Cricut ID is Cricut Access. When you get your machine at Michael's, you do get a free 30-day trial for Cricut Access. And Cricut Access is basically a humongous library of images and fonts and projects. After the 30 days, you can choose to do the standard Cricut Access or a premium Cricut Access, or maintain a free Cricut Access, whatever works for you. Now, as you go into Design Space and the home screen, this is what you'll see. So if you're, so this is what your home screen looks like. The home screen is broken up into different sections, and I've highlighted each of my sections with the green boxes. So this top section here, this is your header bar. The header bar appears both on the home screen and when you go into your canvas to design. So the header bar is important because this is where you can find your profile over here in these 3 bars here. This is where you can access your projects if you're on a desktop, determine which machine you're using, and start a new project. So on your profile, there's not too many times I go into my profile, but I do use it to transfer back and forth between the home screen and the canvas, my settings, and when I need to set up a new machine. The next section down on the home screen is a carousel of images that will give you ideas, new materials. It just is always changing and giving you inspiration. Below that is where all of your projects are stored, where you can access all of your projects. So when you design in Design Space, you can save your project to use again in the future. So when you've designed something super cute, like a notebook or a tumbler, and your friend says, oh, that's really cute, will you make me one? You can go back into your projects and find that and recreate that design for your friend. Below that are the top video playlist. The video playlist, these are great snippets of information that are topic relevant. So they're quick 1-minute, 2-minute, 3-minute videos about a specific topic. So you can see there's one here that talks about weeding, and it's a really short, quick video. But if you're new to Cricut and you're new to Design Space, you might not be that familiar with what weeding is. And this is where you can find that information. Then below that section is the community playlist. So the community playlist are, the community projects. The community projects are projects that are designed by the Cricut community and by users just like you. So if you've designed a project and you want to save your project and share your project with everyone, you can certainly do that. And sometimes Cricut might spotlight your project. Okay, so that's the home screen for Design Space on a desktop and laptop. Then when you're ready to create a project and you go into Design Space Canvas, depending on the device you're on, it is a little bit different, but they all have most of the same icons and tools. It's just they're located in a little bit of a different place. So this is my my tablet device here on the home screen, and this is what the canvas looks like if you're on a tablet device. When I talk about the design panel, you want to look down here in the bottom left. When we talk about the action panel and the layers panel, those will be in the bottom middle. So most of the things on the canvas are scattered around the edge for desktop, but on laptops and on tablets and mobile devices, everything is on the bottom here. So if you can't find something, it's usually on the bottom down below. Okay, so if you're on a desktop or a laptop, this is what your canvas will look like. You see we have our header bar is right up here, and I can access my profile from here. It tells me I'm on the canvas. It tells me if I'm working on a project I've brought in. I can access my project still, I can save my projects, and I can set up my machine all in the header bar. Now, when I look at Design Space, and as I was learning it, I found two techniques helped me. One was to think of it like a clock, and I would start at 9 o'clock and work my way around my project. The other is to think of it like a book, working left to right. And I say that because this panel over here is the design panel. And in the design panel, this is where you start. You add information onto your canvas. So by information, I mean you might add images or text or shapes or even upload designs to your design space to add onto your canvas. So when that happens, when you're working in design space, so thinking left to right, starting at 9 o'clock and working your way around, this is where you put information onto your canvas. So again, you click on the images icon, and this will take you into the Cricut Access library of images. You can click on the text icon, and this is where you can add text to your project. So when you click on the text icon, this text box pops up and your cursor is flashing at you. You add your text right in here, and your edit text bar also comes alive. Now, when you add shapes, same thing. You have a selection of shapes and the score line that you can add to your canvas, and then your edit bar comes alive for that shape. Now, so that's why I say, like, you bring information in here on the left side. And remember, if you're on a tablet or phone device, it's on the bottom. And each of these actions, the images, the text, the shapes, and the upload are called out. So you bring those onto your canvas, and then working left to right, we're going to work across the top and edit our designs if we need to. And then on the right side, so now we're working all the way to the right side, about 3 o'clock, is the layers panel. And what the layers panel does is every time you bring in from your design panel an image, a text, or shape, it adds a layer onto your canvas. So every time you bring in a new image or shape, you get a new layer. And the layers come in one on top of the other. So if you think of it like a 7-layer dip, your first layer is your refried beans, and then you add your layers to your sour cream and your shredded cheese. I shouldn't do that at lunchtime, but you add those, you add your layers in, and they stack up one on top of the other. So as you add layers onto your canvas, your layers panel will show those different layers right here. So I brought in my square first, and then I added the circle on top of that. So that's how your layers panel will work. And on the bottom of your layers panel are your action items. So if you're on a tablet device, remember the action icon is on the bottom. And when you click on that action icon, all these different actions pop up and come to life. So what the actions do is they actually change or manipulate the image that you've added to your canvas. So if we walk through the steps again, in your design panel, first step, you add something onto your canvas. Second step is you edit and you get it the right shape you want it to be. And then the third step is to come over to your layers panel and manipulate that design. And to manipulate it, you can slice, you can weld, attach, flatten, and contour. Now we do have a next class. It's a 201 class. It's called Actions in Design Space. And that's our next level class. So if you want to learn more about these action items when you're comfortable with design space and working your way around, definitely join us for the 201 class, and we'll go over those features. Then the last part of your canvas is to be able to zoom in and out. So if you're on a desktop and you want to zoom in and out on your canvas, you can do that right down here on the zoom button down there. On your tablet device, you just use your fingers, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so let's do a quick overview. And no one can see you except somebody in your home. We can't hear you. So if you know the section I'm pointing to, go ahead and call it out. It helps you remember it. The more you say it or write it down, it will help you remember it. So over here on the left, step number 1 is to add something to your canvas, and we do that in the design panel. Step number 2 is the top of your page where your header is, and then your edit bars come to life. So think of your header bar and the layers below that. Step number 3, go ahead, give it to me. Layers panel. And in the layers panel, you can find your action items. And the action items are the slice and the weld and the attach and things like that. And then lastly is your zoom icon there. So I'll leave this up here for just a second and give you a chance to snap a picture of it. Okay, so if you are I just saw that question and I'll answer it live. If you have an, let me go back here. Let me go back if I can. If you do not have a layer selected that you can do an action to, your action panel won't show up. So if you saw back here when I was in my shapes and I was adding a shape to my canvas, the edit bar was not live. So it didn't light up. It wasn't dark colored. I couldn't edit anything because I didn't have a shape on my canvas to edit. So when you add a shape to your canvas, just one single shape, you won't be doing, there's really nothing, no action that you can do to that shape. But as soon as you add multiple shapes, the actions come to life here, and you can then slice and weld. And if you have 3 shapes, for example, that you've highlighted, your slice won't show up because your slice only works on 2 layers. But again, that's a 201 level class. Good question though. And that's tells me you're learning. All right, so let me get back over here. So let's talk about adding something to your canvas. Now that you kind of know a little bit, you know enough to be dangerous here. Now we want to add images to our canvas. So to add an image to your canvas, you come over to your design panel and you click on the image icon. And this takes you into Cricut Access Images. And again, there's like tens of thousands of images. New images are being added every day. And you can search for images using the highlighted categories. You can search by themes and narrow it down, by shapes or anything like that you want to look for something broad. Or if you know what you're searching for, you can search with keywords right here in the search bar. So I was working on that tumbler for my husband, and I just wanted a simple heart that said love you so he could take his coffee in the morning. And I typed in love you heart. And when I did that, I got a lot of results going with the love you heart. So how do you navigate that? Well, do you scroll through all those different images, or can you filter further? The answer is yes, you can filter those images further using some of these filter features over here. Now, one may be enough to get the job done for you, or you may want to try more than one. I typically start with the operation type. So I know what I'm going to be making, whether it's a tumbler or a t-shirt or a vinyl design. So I know if I want to cut it, or if I'm looking for something that I can cut and draw. So I narrow it down by the operation type. Then I can narrow it down by image complexity or the layers. Now, the difference between image complexity and layers. Layers tells me, is this image a single layer? So can I cut it out of vinyl or cut it out of iron-on and it's just a simple single layer? Or does it have multiple layers so it will cut on multiple mats? Image complexity tells you how many cut lines are in that design. So a simple image complexity has, maybe you're just cutting out the fonts for love you, where a complex image is more of like a mandala or a Zentangle type of image with, thousands of cut lines all in one image. So again, you sort of probably have an idea of what you're going for. and you can narrow it down that way. And then lastly, you can narrow it down by the material choice. And I find I don't use the material choice that much because, for example, a design that is designed for vinyl will also work for iron-on, and an iron-on design will work for cardstock. So that doesn't always help me narrow it down, but sometimes like the infusible ink really will help me narrow it down if I'm looking for something to use on a mug press design. Now, let's talk a little bit about the design once you've kind of narrowed it down to a manageable size. Each design has if it has an A, the flag with the A, that means it's part of Cricut Access. So if you have Cricut Access, you're subscribed to that design and you can use that design as long as you have Cricut Access. If you don't have Cricut Access, it might have a price down here, or if it's part of like I'm missing the word, if it's part of the like Disney collection, which is licensed artwork. So those pieces of artwork you pay for individually. Okay, so that A tells me this design is part of Cricut Access, and it actually happened to be free that week that I was working on it. So even if I didn't have Cricut Access, I could have still used it. When you click on that I down in the bottom right, it gives you information about that design, including the name, the design number, and the image sets. Now, I do tend to peek at the image sets because while I might have loved that design, if I look at the different images that are included in that set, I may find something else that just meets my needs even more. So that Love You Heart is part of this Stay Golden kind of anniversary set. And it'd be perfect if you're doing like a bridal party and you have to do a t-shirt and a makeup bag and shoes and all kinds of stuff. It would be really fun to use some of these designs. Now, once you've selected your design and you know, okay, this is the one I want to use, you select it and this green box around the design shows up, and your design, and when I say you select it, you just left click on that design and the green box shows up saying you've clicked on that design, and it shows up in your queue down at the bottom of your screen. Now, I have not reached a maximum of images I can bring in. I do know with my system, my desktop, if I bring in more than like 10, it's slow to bring them all in. So I only bring in about 4 or 5 at a time, but feel free to see if your machine's fast. Then you collect the insert images, and that image comes onto your canvas. Now, when you add that image onto your canvas, you need to select that layer. And you know you've selected the layer because this box shows up around that image, your quick edit icons show up, and that layer is a darker gray. So your quick edit icons are to delete the image. So you just decide, oh, I didn't want that image. I just want to delete that image. And you delete it right there. Then you have the backward C, which lets you click on it and rotate it. So you would just left click on it and you can rotate that image. Down here with the double arrow, you can pull that out and it enlarges your image. When this icon, the lock icon, is locked, that means your proportions are locked. So when you pull a 3" by 3" image out by this arrow, it enlarges proportionately. So it would go from 3" by 3" to 4 by 4 to 5 by 5. If you unlock your proportions, then your image, you can enlarge it widthwise or height-wise at the same time. So once you've sized your image to the size that you want and you're ready to make it, you would just click to the Make It screen. Oops. Oh, I forgot I had that. Let me go through those real quick. When you're ready to make it, you go to Make It, and this will take you to the Prepare screen. Now, what the Prepare screen is telling you, it's basically the screen that you'll be using that shows you where the vinyl is placed on your cutting mat. So for example, I was using an Explore. So I would be using a cutting mat that holds a 12 by 12. You can change your material size if you want. I tend to keep it at 12 by 12, even if I cut my vinyl down, I still keep my material size at 12 by 12. It tells you what type of operation it's going to do. Is it a basic cut and draw? And if you're using iron-on material, you do want to take advantage of this mirror button right here and mirror your image if you're using iron-on material. So once you've sized your design, you've checked it, it's in the right position, you know where to put your vinyl down, you click continue and it takes you to the make screen and it confirms which machine you're using. It confirms what type of material you're using. And then it tells you which blades or other tools you need to have in your machine to do the operations you want to do. All right, so now we are ready to go live. Unless there's questions that I need to hop on and answer, Joy.
I think you're good to go. We have everybody seems to be pretty dialed in. And
awesome.
I did notice that somebody had raised their hand. We don't have a way to call on you. So if you do have a question, type it into the question and answer, and we're happy to help you out.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Joy, I'm not for sure what has happened. I see she's reconnecting.
It looks like we might have dropped Kesley for a moment here. If anybody she's going to reconnect. We'll get her right back live again. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A section and Lindsay and I will help you out.
Joy, I'm back. I just I'm here. I just don't have my video yet. My video feed isn't active yet. So
get your video active and we will look for any questions.
Okay. Also, if people, there we go. So while we're going into live, sorry about that. I think I clicked the X button. My bad. If you want to go ahead and go into Cricut, go ahead and start your Cricut design space, and we will go right into it. If we're ready, it looks like this crowd is ready to go. I love it. Okay. So we'll pop into design space. And again, if you need me to clarify anything as we're going along, please feel free to let Joy and Lindsay know, and we can go back and jump on anything I need to. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go live. This is my favorite part of this class, I think, because it kind of like brings it all together and you get to see in real life how it all comes together. So this is my home screen on my desktop. If you're on a tablet device, it automatically takes you into the canvas. So you can see I have some projects I'm working on. The videos are right here. New projects are right down here and community projects. So this is your home screen. And I have, I'm going to select my machine. Today, I'll be using the Cricut Maker 3. So I just changed my machine and we're going to start a new project. So you can click on the new project here, or you can go down and click on the new project in the My Project section. So we'll go ahead and select new project. And so before we do that, if everyone can grab their blank, if you're working with a blank or you know sort of where you want your design to go when you're done, so you can get a measurement for how big your design is going to be. And I'm going to stop my share here. This is what I'll be using today. It's a straight-sided water bottle, and I measure my distance between my fingers. So I tend to hold my water bottle, and then I have my tape measure, which I keep this beautiful tape measure somebody who loves me a lot gave me. And I measure between my fingers so I know how wide to make my design, and then you can make your design as tall as you want. So for my bottle today, I'll make my image no more than 3 inches wide by probably about 3 inches long. So it'll be a 3 by 3 size. If you are using, like if your bottle has a tapered side on it, go ahead and make sure you measure both the top and the bottom so you don't get too big when you're making it. So if you want to make with me, you can do your own measurements, or you can use my measurements, which will be 3 inches by 3 inches. And how I like to start a project is, of course, with a fresh canvas, and I will add the shape of my size. So if I know my size is going, let me back up a second. When I know what size my end product I want it to be, I like to have that shape on my canvas so I can make sure I don't forget what size I'm making. So to add a shape to your canvas, that's the first step. We're going to go to the design panel and we'll select shapes. And mine, I'll just do I usually just pull in a square, and then I will modify that square to be a rectangle or whatever size I need to make at the end. So this is pretty close to the size that I need, 3.11 by 3.11. I could grab this and enlarge it from that quick edit feature here. And you see how it goes, the width and the height adjust at the same time. So, or you can go up to the edit bar and put in exactly your measurements if you know how big you want it to be. So this will be my, the size for my project in the end will be 3 by 3. So that's my 3 by 3 square. And I'm just going to set that off to the side. Now I'm ready to go back to my design panel and find an image to work with. So I don't know about everybody else, we are squeezing out every last bit of summer that we can. So I'm going to look for like a fun and sun type of image. And I happen to know there's a cute one that we can all use right here. And this is a free image, so everyone can access this image. And if you'd like, if your search bar for some reason doesn't pop up the image, you can type in the search bar when you're in all images, hashtag M3EF3F. And you want to make sure you do that pound sign, the hashtag. If you just type in the letters, it's the tag of the design. So if you just were to type in the letters and numbers combination here, the image wouldn't show up. So anytime you're using an image somebody shared with you or said, oh, use this image for that, make sure you add that hashtag in there. So it is part of Cricut Access. It is free today. And so I'm going to select this image because that's the one I'd like to use for my mug or my tumbler. And it's down here at the bottom in my queue. So I just click on the insert images. Okay, so if anybody needs to see that again, I'm going to go back through that again. So you go to images from your canvas, you type in, you'll come into the all images screen here, and you can type in the item number, or you can type in the words fun, the symbol ampersand, and sun, and do a search for that. And that one comes up and you can insert that into your canvas. So that's the first step, is adding that image onto your canvas. Then the second step is sizing your image. So I can just go here and I see that the width is 1.105 by 0.779, and I have it proportion locked. So I'm going to keep the proportion lock on, and I'll change the width to 3 inches, which will automatically change the height. And then I can bring it over onto my square here and make sure it's going to fit how I envision it to go on my tumbler. Now, if I wanted to elongate this design a bit, I would turn off my proportion up here in my edit bar, and I could elongate that design a bit if I wanted to, something like that. So you can change it if you want to. And if you just do it and you're like, that's really not what I want, now I've got to go back and find the image. No, you don't. You can just undo what you did by either doing Control-Z on your keyboard or using the undo icon here. And if you're on a tablet device, the undo is down in the middle part. You just have to scroll across to that, or it might be under the edit function. And there's my fun and sun. It's the size that I'd like it to be. And I'm ready to send it over to the cutter. Now, one thing I don't want to send my background square because that was just for sizing. So when I go into my layers panel, you see we have the 2 layers here, the fun and sun, and then the square. And right now the square layer is selected. And I know that because the quick edit icons are around the square and it's grayed out. So it's a little bit darker gray. So that tells me that that one is selected. I do not want to send that image, that layer, to my cutter. So I will click on this eyeball and hide that image. So now when you hide an image, it will not go to the cutter, but it's still there. So if I came back, I could add that layer back on and I could see that layer again. So now I'm ready to go to the Make It screen. So we'll just go ahead on there. And so up here on my header, make sure you do have your machine selected and you just click Make It. Oops, got to hide my image there. And we'll make this. So when I say make it, it comes over to my prepare screen and it asks me, will I be using a mat to cut or will I be using, say, smart vinyl? I'll be using a mat. So it brings it back onto a mat like this. And it's going to do a basic cut. It's telling the Design Space software communicates to the machine what you're doing. So it says on your prepare screen, prepare yourself to do a basic cut on a mat using material size 12 by 12. Now on the mat, let's talk about this for just a second. On the mat, you can move your image around by left clicking in the center of the image and moving it around. You can rotate it. So if you're trying to use a little scrap of material, you can just rotate your design like that on there and use that scrap of material. When the image comes over to your prepare screen, what Cricut will do is it wants to maximize on your material. So it lines it up starting off on the left side, going across and then going down. So it'll line it up right there. Now, I want to go over just for a second. We're not doing this today, so just watch as I do this. You don't have to do this along with me. Just watch as we do this. Let's say I want to cut 5 of these for my kids and their friends. So I'm going to duplicate this layer a few times. With my mouse, I can left click on the image and this dialog pops up and I can hit duplicate. I can also duplicate in the layers panel. At the top here, I just click on duplicate. So now I have 3 fun and suns for my kids and their friends. Actually, I have 3 kids. So let's say 1 for each kid. This one, my middle child, he's feisty and he likes everything red. My older son is very chill, so he likes everything blue. And my third is a daughter, Daisy, so we'll make hers pink. Now, if I wanted to line these up on my mat to cut, and I wanted to position I wanted them all to line up like this, I would need to do something called attach. And attach freezes those images in the lineup on your canvas. So when I have 3 layers selected and I click attach, now these all are attached and they're saying it's going to cut it all from one piece of vinyl. So let's keep it as 3 different ones. And I undid that by doing the Control Z. So I'll keep it as 3 different layers of vinyl and I'll send it to my prepare screen. So you'll see each color of vinyl comes across on a different mat because it thinks my material is all 12 by 12 and it's going to cut it 3 different times. But I can go back to my mat. I can click on like a mat 3. And if I click up here, now I know I'm cutting this out of blue. So I'm going to move this object and put it on my red mat. And I just have to move it across the mat like this. And then when I go to cut it, actually put another piece of vinyl right here. And then my second mat, that pink one, I can move that one as well. I click those 3 little dots, move object. I move it to the first mat. And now I have all 3 of my designs on one mat, and I just can use 3 different colors of vinyl on the same mat to cut them. So if you want to cut 3 on one mat, that's how you do it. Or if you want to cut 3 of the same color on one mat, that's how you do it as well. So then you go ahead. Joy, before I go on, are there any questions about that? You see any?
No, I didn't see any questions about that, but everybody, please remember this class is recorded. There is a link to where you will be able to find this class to watch it and work along with it. The class will show up about 24 hours from today. So we just have to give Michael some time to download everything and put it up, and then it's there for you. So if you're having any trouble following along, trust the link is right there in the chat.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and keep my 3 fun and suns up here so you guys can see how I actually physically prepare my mat with 3 different colors of vinyl. If you're crafting along with me and you just need one, that's fine. Just go ahead and do one color. So then you go to your final screen, your cut screen, or your make screen, and it's going to connect to my machine. So you want to make sure your machine is turned on, it's within range, and it found my machine. And then I just need to select my material. So I'll be using premium vinyl. So I just type in the search box for vinyl. And I'm using a premium vinyl permanent glossy. So, and I use the default pressure on that. It uses my fine tip blade, which is for all the machines. The fine tip blade is your silver housing carrier. I had a good question about that the other day. Now my light is flashing, telling me it's ready to cut. So I'll switch over my camera to this one. There we go. And I'm going to grab my extra vinyl. I have enough pieces. I do. Okay, so I have some vinyl that I've actually already resized. Oops, this one's got something cut in it. Sorry, hold on 1 second, everybody. I had already cut out of that vinyl. Go figure. Let's see, here's the scrap piece I haven't cut out of. I'll just grab 2 other pieces. Sorry, this is not planned. That's what happens. Okay, so I have some other colors, some fun colors here. So I would use like a yellow and a green and an orange are my colors. So I'm going to set those aside and talk to you about the different types of vinyl. So when you're making with the different types of vinyl, there's different transfer tape to use based on which type of vinyl you're using. If you are using a glitter vinyl or a vinyl with a texture like a chalkboard vinyl, the strong grip transfer tape is what you want to use to get the vinyl to come off of the backing, your vinyl backing. So you use the strong grip vinyl for that. And when you use the glitter, it actually has strong grip inside of that case. And then if you're using the permanent premium vinyl, you can just use the regular transfer tape. And you can tell the difference because it'll say strong grip and the grid is purple, and the regular grip is gray rectangles and it doesn't say strong grip on it. So those are the different transfer tapes that you want to use. And I'm using my paper trimmer here. My images were at each 4 inches. So I'm just going to cut these down to be 4 inches. So I have enough room. Do 4 inches. So you want to use your paper. I use a paper trimmer. If you don't have a paper trimmer, don't worry. Cricut thinks of everything. And they have the grid on the back of your vinyl. So you can just use scissors and follow along there and cut your lines. So you get nice straight lines when you put your vinyl in. And it really is good. I keep, somebody asked me how I store my scrap vinyl, and I keep folders like this, And I put my extra pieces, like if I have some transfer tape, I'll put that in here. You can reuse your transfer tape. So I stick the type of vinyl with some extra transfer tape in there. And then I always kind of have those handy to pull up when I need them. So I'll set my cutter aside. If you've cut your vinyl and you're ready to place it, remember that the software tells your machine, it lines everything up across the top and down the bottom. So first we're going to line up one color, and it doesn't matter if your screen tells you to put the red one first and then the yellow one and then the green one. We know that we just want to cut our design out of these 3 different types of vinyl and these 3 different colors of vinyl. And then we're going to go ahead and I use my wedge and I push that down so that it stays in place for me. And you open up your machine. Now my light is flashing, telling me to go ahead and load my mat. So I'm going to load my mat. And I like to just kind of put my hand on it to make sure I get it in straight. And I was a little bit slow. Too much pressure on one side. So sometimes I can wiggle it as it comes back out and get it to line up again, which is no problem. And then you go ahead and you hit the play button. So now this will go through and cut each one of my designs on one mat. I didn't have to use 3 different mats, which is really convenient. So I am using a permanent vinyl, and I'll be hand washing this bottle, even though I use a permanent vinyl. I think this tumbler says to hand wash anyway. So I do that. If you have a spritz bottle with some Windex or something, you just want to wipe off your bottle to make sure there's no lint underneath or debris, you can go ahead and do that. And we're going to go ahead and get this cut out and ready to go. I love how quickly it cuts. I like to watch it. I don't know if you guys are watchers of your cutting device or not, but I like to watch it go through. Now, this is the light grip mat. The Cricut machines have come in, the mats are 4 different mats. So this light grip is great if you're using paper or vinyl. Your iron-on vinyl will work on the light grip. There's also the standard grip mat, which I do not use. This is the only one I use for paper. So if I'm cutting cardstock or any type of paper, I use the blue light grip. If I'm cutting vinyls, if I'm cutting iron-ons, a little bit heavier materials, I'll use my standard grip. And then with my maker, if I'm cutting fabric, I use the pink mat. And if I'm cutting something like leather or balsa wood, I'll use the strong grip mat. But again, it's like the strong grip transfer tape. You don't want to use that on regular vinyl. It's more grip than you need. Now, once these are cut out, you can run your hand across it and you would be able to feel those cut lines. If for some reason you were concerned that it didn't cut out, you could hit the play button again and it would cut along those exact same lines. But I can feel that it cut out. I can even take my weeding tool and weed that out and make sure. So I'm going to go ahead and unload my device, my cutting mat here. Okay, and then we'll just tuck that away. And to remove my vinyl from my mat, I think of it like removing my mat from my vinyl. So I take a little corner, I hold my vinyl down, and I peel my mat off like this. And this keeps your vinyl from curling, cardstock from curling, anything like that. It's just a much easier way to remove your backing from your vinyl. Now I do have the light pad. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, and I can see my cut lines from here. So the light pad is great to help me see my cut lines. If you ever have a hard time seeing where you cut, if you don't have the bright pad, you can just hold it up to a mirror, not a mirror, hold it up to a window, and you'd be able to see where you cut. I don't want to waste too much of my vinyl. So if I have scissors, I have scissors. Okay, there. My little handy dandy tool holder up there, my tool caddy. I'm going to go ahead and slide that down a little bit there. I have a little bit more to work with. Okay. So then with this, it's so easy. I can just peel my vinyl. Oops, did I do that the wrong? I did that the wrong way, I think. So there's my fun and sun. And then, you know, it's hard to see with that there. I'm going to take that out, get back to normal. Get a little closer. Okay. So now with this, I can use my weeding tool and weed out those little inside pieces. My design there. You see that yellow, or is that hard to see? I think that's hard to see. You don't get much contrast. Let me do this one too. And weeding is super fun. A lot of people enjoy weeding. They'll do it in front of their TV, sort of like as a chilling out, kind of thing, just to relax. They weed. Sorry, my light is low in here. So you can just be gentle with it and walk your vinyl off of your backing there. So then it's just those little pieces. You then just take your weeding tool and go in, and I just do like a little dig with it and just pop out that piece. There, that's a lot easier to see. Okay. Now I'm ready to just take my transfer, and it looks like that's backwards. So much for my mirroring. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, there, that's better. Oops, is it backwards for you guys? Or is it just me?
No, it's the right way.
Okay, perfect. All right, so it looks backwards when I look at it on my monitor. All right, so I've got my design done. I'm just grabbing a piece of transfer tape, and this is regular transfer tape. Now I'm working on a self-healing mat, so I have the grids underneath, which is fabulous because it really helps me line up my design. This is a simple design, so I'm not too worried about getting it perfectly, but if I really wanted to make sure that I lined it up properly, I would use a hinge method. So with the hinge method, I line that top grid line up with the top line of my vinyl backing, and then I line up the side, and you just press it down like that. And you want to make sure that you work out any air bubbles now, so you don't have any air bubbles. And I know that my design is on there straight because my lines are lined up with this straight edge and this straight edge. This edge is not straight, so I would not use this edge to line up with. But I knew these two were straight because I cut them on my cutter, and I followed the grid lines. So then again, I just peel off the backing here. Just pull that right off like that. And there's my design. Now you can hold your bottle using a wedge tool and your lint brush. I don't have my lint brush today. You can hold your bottle like this. I love this too because I have the grid lines. I can see behind my bottle. So if I line up the bottom of my bottle with one of the grid lines, I know it's going to line up. Like I can see in the middle how it's going to line up. So I can kind of get this aligned to the middle here like this. So I've got that blue line. I don't know if you can see it running down the middle of my bottle. And I just would take my transfer tape and put it on. Now, I usually like to use a taco method if I want to line it up. So I line up the measure of my middle of my design with the middle of my bottle. But since this is a circular bottle, I'm not too worried about that. More so, I just want to get it straight with the bottom here. So I'll select a line on my transfer tape to line up with the bottom of my bottle. and I put the middle of my design down first. It's the taco method. And then I just run my finger and push that design down. Let the other side go down and push that design down. Now, if you do have a tapered bottle, you can go ahead and cut slits in your transfer tape so that it's a little bit easier to work around those angles and those designs. I love these straight edge bottles because, especially as a beginner, these are super easy to, you don't have to worry about the taper and getting it down. Now, at this point, run your fingers over and you'll see if there's any air bubbles, and you just kind of compress those out with your thumb. And then you just start peeling off your transfer tape like this, and working it across. Now I do, if I'm having a hard time with my design sticking down, I will rock my transfer tape back and forth. So like I can go, if this part is pulling up and it's not sticking down, I would go back and push it down like this. But then instead of keeping going from this side, I would come over and bring this side over and take it off that way. So I do think that removing transfer tape takes practice, but it really, once you know how to do it, you're good to go. You can do it really easily. And there's my design. Now I can also add other elements if I wanted to, like I could add, come back in and add a sun right here if I wanted to, or I could add, you could really add anything. Let's see if I can get that so you can see it. You can add any type of design that you want to onto the bottle. We've got it done, which is really cute. All right. So there's our project. Let me come back over here. Now, don't forget, this is being recorded. I would absolutely love to see what you create on with your Tumblr or your journal. We do have a hashtag Cricut with Michaels, and you can post it on Instagram, and hopefully I'll see it and give you a thumbs up on it. So I'd love to see what you create.
Thank you, Kesley. You did such a nice job in class. We do have one question about washing the bottle.
Okay.
Do you want to just go over how you would wash that?
Yes, I would be happy to. So the bottle is I'm not sure, I'm looking at it. I was trying to look at it before. I have my reading glasses on. If it was machine washable or not. Leak resistant. But if it were machine washable and I used a permanent vinyl, to be honest with you, I would put it right in my dishwasher because that's kind of how I roll. And if it came off, that just would give me another opportunity to put on a new design. I do have the color changing tumblers from Michaels, and I actually tested one with permanent vinyl, and it's gone through the wash 20 times. I have a little check pad, and I make everybody check it off when it goes through the wash. So we did put it through the wash 20 times. I've used permanent vinyl on outside planters that have been there through the winter of the DC winter, summer, everything that's lasted over 2 years. So it's all up to you. If you're gifting it, I would definitely tell somebody to hand wash it because you do want that to stay there as long as possible. But for yourself, you might just try it and see if you're comfortable with letting it go through the washing machine. And I would, on something like this, I would use a permanent vinyl because I do intend to wash it. If I were doing these for like party favors and I was going to change them out later, or if I were doing a snow cone making party and I had the snow cone flavors in here and I wanted to write the kind of flavor on the bottle, I would make that in the removable vinyl. So after the party, I could just take that off and use it again. But
that's such a good idea, Kez.
Yeah.
Leslie, I would say you have given us a wonderful presentation today. We are right at noon.
Awesome.
it looks like we've answered all of our questions. I think you did a great job. Our students look like they hung in there and learned all kinds of things. Just so that everybody's reminded, please go back to Michael's classes. Kesley teaches an advanced class on Design Space. We are doing project classes. Today we have a project class in an hour. If you liked what Kesley did.
Do you want to sneak?
Do you guys want a sneak peek of what's happening in the class in an hour?
I'll show you. I have two projects we're going to work with. Well, first of all, if you're interested in learning how to upload images, definitely want to take this class. This is a cute image from, let's see if I can get it angled right. Isn't that cute? This is from the Michael's download library. So I used vinyl on this, and then I'm showing you how to do this.
Oh, you guys, this is going to be a fun class. So if you have a chance, it's in an hour. If you go to the Michael site and where your classes are, where you signed up for this one, this is a premium class though. It is a $10 class. So you do have to sign up.
It might be 15, Joy.
Oh, is it 15?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sorry, but
Okay.
It's a great class, and Kesley will give you more in-depth.
Definitely go to the bathroom, eat lunch beforehand, because it is going to be packed with information.
And it's a small class, so you get lots of personalized attention.
Definitely. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Kesley.
Thanks, guys.